How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Take a Wild Guess, the show where I tell you the story of an object, a place, a historical event, or a name, and you guess what I'm talking about. So, a few weeks ago, I conducted a poll on Take a Wild Guess's Instagram handle. I was taking the listeners' opinions on what topics I should make my next episodes on. One of the most popular responses was Bollywood. Since that happens to be one of my favorite topics too, it was a win win. So today's episode is called From Bollywood with Love. It is a story of how Bollywood played a huge role in our relations with a powerful nation and about the man who was at the center of this friendship. Do you know who I'm talking about? If not, listen on. Maybe we will figure it out by the end of today's story. And even if you don't, you can always take a wild guess. So let's begin. Okay, right from the first Indian film, Raja Harishchandra, which was made by Dadasaheb Phalke in 1913, Indians have always been huge fans of movies. Now, Bollywood, of course, is the name of the Hindi movie industry, which is based in Mumbai. The name is a portmanteau of Bombay and Hollywood. The various regional film industries are also super successful in their own right and have produced multiple national award winning movies. These also have names similar to Bollywood. Kollywood is the Tamil movie industry, Mollywood is the Malayalam movie industry, Tollywood is for both Bengali and Telugu. And fun fact here, the Kannada movie industry is actually called Sandalwood because Karnataka is famous for sandalwood. Remember Mysore sandal soap? Anyway, Indian movies have a certain charm to them. They are very flamboyant. There are various song and dance sequences. There are usually extremely black and white characters. And many movies follow the theme of a fight between good and evil and a dashing hero and heroine who end up happily ever after in the end. Now, it is obvious that these movies had a certain kind of an appeal to citizens of a country that had just escaped what might be the worst dictatorship in history. This country is, of course, Russia. Cinema in general had always been quite popular in Russia. In fact, Vladimir Lenin had said that of all the arts, for us, the cinema is the most important. Because he believed that a cinema can reach the mass audience much more efficiently than any other art. But when Stalin came to power, he was focused on using this art form for propaganda. He introduced a concept called socialist realism. This was basically a cultural policy that brought about a lot of censorship. It decreed that all art, be it sculpture, be it painting, music, theatre, or even cinema, must show communism in a positive light. On top of that, any foreign made movies were banned. So you can imagine that the movies available under his rule weren't very entertaining. Now, after his death in 1953, when the more liberal Nikita Khrushchev came to power, he did away with all of this. Now remember that this was still the time of the Cold War. So even though America dominated the global film industry, the Russians thought that their movies were too bourgeois and materialistic. Though Indians hadn't decided to officially side with either of those superpowers, they had strongly denounced American involvement in the Korean War. So Russia thought that they could ally with India in a kind of cultural exchange agreement. Russian movies were shown in Indian movie theatres and vice versa. However, the Indians found that Russian movies were rather dry. But as you must have guessed, Bollywood was a super hit in Russia. At the height of the Bollywood craze, half of all the movie theatres in Russia were showing Bollywood movies. People listened to the songs featured in these movies in all public and private spaces. And sometimes they even played the same song on loop. Now, one actor was especially popular, okay? And this guy is the hero of today's story. His image as the relatable underdog and as a sex symbol catapulted his fame in Russia. When his most famous work, which was called Bradgaya in Russia, was released there, it became the highest earning movie of the year. It sold over 63 million tickets in 1 year. Amazing, right? The actor was so popular, in fact, that truck drivers were said to have his photo on their dashboard, right beside the photo of Stalin. He became the unofficial cultural ambassador of India to Russia. He spoke at multiple events about how movies can bring the two countries together. Once, the actor arrived at Moscow to recruit a Russian circus troupe for one of his movies. Upon landing, he realized that he didn't have a visa. But he was such a favorite of the Soviets that they allowed him to pass through immigration with ease. If you think this is impressive, let me tell you his most incredible story. Once he was visiting Moscow and was waiting for a cab. While he was waiting, the people around him began recognizing him. So, as soon as the cab arrived, he jumped right inside the cab. But he soon realized that the cab was moving. Not moving forwards, but moving upwards. His fans were so delighted to have seen him that they had picked up the entire cab on their shoulders while our hero was still in it. Do you know who we are talking about? Even if you don't, take a wild guess. Thank you for actively guessing the answers to the last episode. Like last time, the answer to today's story will also be revealed in another clip that I will upload on all platforms as well as on our Instagram handle on Sunday. Till then, I invite my listeners to send in their guesses as an email to tawgpodcast@gmail.com or as a message on our Instagram handle. So, as I always say, take a wild guess. You can listen to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all other major podcast platforms. If you like this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. If you have any comments, criticisms, or feedback, please write to me at tawgpodcast@gmail.com or message me on our Instagram handle. Till next time, I'm your host Chaitanya Ganu, and this is Take a Wild Guess. Thank you.